Today, the Kremlin publicly rejected Donald Trump's proposal to stop the war in Ukraine. The Kremlin stated that Russia will not stop military actions on the territory of Ukraine, as proposed by United States President Donald Trump. In fact, Putin stated that he will continue the war until Ukraine agrees to his terms. Let me remind you, Trump proposed the day before that Ukraine and Russia halt military actions at the current front line, both declare victory and walk away. They say history will decide who really won later. You know, this narrative, of course, reminded me of Vladimir Zelensky's own words back in 2019 about how we just need to stop shooting. At the same time, it has already become known when Marco Rubio and Sergei Lavrov will hold their first meeting to prepare for the Trump-Putin summit in Budapest. It's still unclear what they'll negotiate if the Kremlin turns away. And that's why only one thought comes to mind. Trump will pressure Ukraine to make us surrender, which, by the way, he is already doing. But that's not all. Zelensky is at the same time assuring that we have actually come closer to ending the war. And the United States and Ukraine are preparing a contract to purchase 25 Patriot air defense systems. Let's figure this out. My name is Alexei Peci. Today is October 20th. Let's discuss this topic together. But before we start this episode, I ask you to subscribe to this channel. Please leave a like, write any comment under this video, and be sure to subscribe to my Telegram channel, Peci News. The link to it is in the description of this video. There we publish breaking news as it comes in. If you want to support the work of this YouTube channel, you can do so financially with any donation using the links and details in the description of this video. It says there, support the channel Alexei Peci. Choose any format that is convenient for you. I will be grateful for any support you give. Today, the Kremlin announced Russia will not halt military actions in Ukraine, as suggested by United States President Donald Trump. This was officially stated by the spokesperson of the Russian dictator Dmitry Peskov. According to him, Russia's position regarding the United States President's peace plan, which calls for Russian and Ukrainian troops to stop at the current front line to begin negotiations, remains unchanged. Peskov also stated that the team effort to prepare the proper conditions for the Russia-United States summit in Budapest will begin soon. However, Peskov gave no details about preparations for a possible Putin-Trump meeting in Budapest. And then his quote, "So far there are no details about the Russia-United States summit in Budapest. A lot of homework still needs to be done by the foreign affairs agencies." In short, Moscow is stalling again, just as we discussed. Trump agreed to the meeting. We can stall for time, lol. Lavrov and Rubio will meet there, followed by other delegations and weeks of preparations. The Kremlin's press secretary said Moscow is monitoring United States statements about possible Tomahawk missile deliveries to Ukraine, and they are maintaining contacts with Washington at the expert level. To ensure the exchange of positions, you see now there is already an expert level involved. Again, this is what I warned about. Let me remind you that earlier. Trump urged Ukraine and Russia to stop fighting along the current front line, effectively freezing the war. In addition, Trump made a controversial statement that, on the one hand, the United States cannot give all its weapons to Ukraine because they need them too. On the other hand, he added that the issue of Tomahawks is still being considered. Although a number of American messengers, citing their sources, write that Trump allegedly urged Volodymyr Zelensky to agree to Putin's terms, otherwise Russia will destroy him. It was reported that the United States President allegedly demanded that Ukraine give up the entire territory of the Donetsk region and repeated the points that Putin had voiced the day before during a personal conversation. However, later Trump denied these claims. He stated that he did not discuss handing over Donbas to Russia with Zelensky. The United States position is that both sides should remain on the current front line. Here I think Trump lied, because the issue of handing over Donbas was discussed. This has been reported multiple times in reputable publications. Zelensky himself has already said that yes, Vitkov didn't just hint at it, he directly said to hand it over. Donbas is supposedly a Russian-speaking region that Russia has included in its constitution. So what are we talking about here? Well, that's it. Politico reports that United States representatives at the meeting between Donald Trump and Volodymyr Zelensky in Washington on Friday told him that Vladimir Putin wants to continue fighting. Here's the quote. "The Americans said that Putin wants to continue. And he has a powerful military machine, said an unnamed source to Politico. After that, United States Special Envoy Steve Witkoff joined the conversation with Zelensky and said that Russia intends to capture the entire Donbas. The source added that it felt like the Americans were testing the Ukrainians to see what they would agree to. Volodymyr Zelensky refused to hand over to Russia the territories that it had not captured. And in the end, Trump finished the negotiations by saying, "All right, let's try to end it at the current line of contact." And now, Politico sources also denied certain details of the meeting between Zelensky and Trump that were mentioned earlier. One of them said that the American president did not throw any battle maps. The Financial Times reported on this recently. He said he was tired of looking at these maps and questioned why he was being shown them, saying he didn't know what or where they were or their purpose. Two other sources among foreign policy experts from the Republican Party, who are familiar with how the meeting went, said that Trump supposedly did not use any swear words. Reports of Trump swearing at the meeting were published by the Financial Times, then Reuters, and later the Washington Post. Moreover, all three publications clarified that yes, this language was inappropriate. So, excuse me, Trump was swearing. Well, what else? The day before, the Financial Times reported that Trump, during a meeting with Zelensky, repeatedly repeated the points that Putin had whispered in his ear during a phone conversation. Some of them contradicted his own recent statements about Russia's weakness. And here is what one of these sources said. Trump told Zelensky, "You either make a deal or you will be destroyed." According to the source, Trump said Ukraine is losing the war and added that Putin could destroy you if he wants. Nevertheless, a meeting between Trump and Putin in Budapest is still being prepared. And now United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio may meet with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov in just a few days. And a Reuters source told the publication that at the meeting on Friday, October 17, American officials immediately stated that Rubio plans to meet with Lavrov on Thursday, October 23. Well, today, October 20, Lavrov personally called Rubio to discuss the details of the upcoming meeting. Currently, the main argument is that Trump is allegedly prepared to support Russia and pressure Ukraine. For example, the Washington Post writes today that at the meeting with Zelensky, Trump wasn't listening to him and kept complaining that he wasn't given the Nobel Peace Prize. And next, they quote the Washington Post. Trump said, "Putin will destroy you if you don't agree right now." Zelensky had maps and everything else with him. He was explaining, but Trump didn't want to have anything to do with it. Trump listened, but didn't reply to the Ukrainian message. It was like, no, look, guys, you probably won't be able to get your territory back. There's nothing we can do to save you. You have to give diplomacy another chance. But at the same time, Zelensky himself gives a different message. He said Ukraine and the United States are preparing a contract to buy 25 Patriot air defense systems. Ukraine is in line to receive them, but the White House can change the delivery order. One of the sources of funding is the frozen Russian assets. Also, according to Zelensky, Trump did not transfer Tomahawk missiles in order to avoid escalation with Russia. As Zelensky says, if Putin hadn't called, Ukraine could have received them. If the United States provides Tomahawk missiles, then European partners will also be able to give Ukraine these missiles, and possibly Taurus missiles as well. And also, Zelensky added that Ukraine is ready for a meeting in Budapest if they are invited. Although it's not the best place for historical and political reasons, and we definitely don't need another Budapest memorandum. But Putin apparently wants exactly this kind of symbolic gesture, while Trump, for some reason, thinks that Hungary can help end the war more quickly. And this is where Moscow's games begin, which, as always, traditionally drag things out. The Kremlin has already started to question whether it's safe for Putin to fly to Budapest. So now Russian propaganda is spinning a story that British intelligence is preparing to assassinate Vladimir Putin in Budapest. So maybe not in Budapest, maybe it's better in Dubai, maybe somewhere in the Middle East, and so on. Well, so they're starting to stall for time again. As for the location, according to Zelensky, they call this exchange territories. In particular, the status of Donbas, Zaporizhzhia, and Kherson regions remains completely undefined. According to Zelensky, the Russians probably mean that they won't advance further in the Kherson and Zaporizhzhia regions in exchange for us simply giving up Donbas. Meanwhile, the Americans interpret this as a possible return of territory to Ukraine, but it's unclear which territories exactly would be returned. In general, many questions remain. The main takeaway from this episode is that they're dodging, stalling for time, and saying that Trump is putting forward some conditions, but we don't care about any of those conditions. I'll leave it at that. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments under this episode. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like. That's it for now. Take care and goodbye, everyone.